Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Tag Tuesday. It is Tuesday when I'm filming this, hopefully it will get out on Tuesday. Today I am doing the Stand With Trans Kids tag, and this tag was created by Leo Bancroft, and Leo was kind enough to tag me, so thank you Leo. It's Pride Month, so it seems like an appropriate tag to be doing, so let's get started. Prompt number 1 is to tag some fabulous friends who also want to do this tag and stand with trans kids. And I am going to tag some people that I think might want to do this, and also people that I either haven't tagged in some time or maybe even at all yet anyway. So I'm going to begin with V from Sassy Library Fox, Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading, AJ from AJ Dunn Reads and Writes, Elle from Elle Thinks, and Bob from Bob the Bookerer. So if any of you would like to do this tag, please do so. That would be awesome. If not, no worries. Obviously, there's no pressure. So prompt number 2, tell us about some books on your TBR pile featuring a trans or non-binary character, or non-fiction about trans non-binary stuff. So, of course, I'm going to go Canadian on this. That's probably no surprise to anyone, but I'd like to highlight some of our Canadian authors. So I will start with nonfiction. I've had this book forever, Me, Myself, They, Life Beyond the Binary by Joshua M. Ferguson. This has been on my shelf for like way too long. This is a memoir, and the author is an LGBTQIA2S+ activist, a filmmaker, and it tells about Ferguson's childhood, the evolution of their identity, and the trauma that they have survived. And I met Joshua when I first attended the Fold, or the Festival of Literary Diversity, several years ago now, and I really do need to get to this book. The second book I still have on my TBR is from Casey Plett, and it's a collection of short stories called A Dream of a Woman. A Dream of a Woman, yes. And this was longlisted for the Giller Prize, and the stories feature trans women characters, and I've heard like really good things about this collection, and I do still really want to read it, so this is another one on my TBR. Number 3 is recommend a favorite book, show, movie featuring a trans or non-binary character. So I don't know that this is my favorite, but it was the first movie that I can recall that I watched that had a trans character, and it really had an impact. And that's Boys Don't Cry with Hilary Swank. So this is a powerful story, and it's based on the real life of Brandon Trina, I think it is, or Tina. And I've seen this movie a few times now, but the first time that I saw it, the hate crime in it disturbed me so much that I actually threw up. I think it's such an important movie, but it isn't easy to see what happens to Brandon. Number 4, everyone has their own journey and no one demographic is a monolith. Recommend a book with a journey, however you define that. Okay, this is an interesting prompt, and there are some really obvious ones for me here, but I think that I'm going to go with another Canadian. Well, I am going to go with another Canadian. One of my favorite Canadians, and recommend Man in Motion by Rick Hansen. I have said this before, and I will say it again. I love Rick Hansen. I have loved him since I was like 7 years old. Rick was in his teens when he became a paraplegic. And then in the mid-'80s, Rick and his crew did the Man in Motion World Tour, where he wheeled around the world, visiting over 30 countries in just over 2 years. And he raised money and awareness about people with disabilities. And that 2-year journey was really just the beginning. Rick continues that journey. You know, he's continued it throughout his life. With his foundation, and one of the things that I love most about him is not only is he doing really important work, but his message has never changed. He has been consistent since day one, and I just love him. So next is None of Us Knows Everything, even about our own identities, especially since we're not a monolith and each have our own journey. What is a book that taught you something about yourself or the world around you? I guess in some ways, when I was thinking about this, I could say that most books teach me something about the world, but I'm going to go with this, A Persistent Peace by John Deere, not the tractor. I don't know that I've ever shared this book before, and this is a memoir. I think he calls it a memoir or an autobiography. I think it's more of a memoir, where John Deere, who is a peace activist, talks about his life and his involvement in peace, which he still does. And it's very timely for our world, but even at the time that I read it, I remember thinking, like, he's so committed to this movement, he's so committed to this work, and that has really inspired me and made me think differently about peace and what it is all about. Number 6, when things are hard in the world or in our lives, sometimes there are things we can do to help center and refocus ourselves, to bring joy, keep us going, to keep living, resisting, being our authentically amazing selves. What are things you do to center yourself or find joy? So, it might seem obvious that I love to read, so that definitely brings me joy. And I also really love spending time in nature, time with my pups or time with family and friends. That's always a joyful time for me. Next up is, what's your walk-on music or your feel at home in your body music? So these are kind of two different things for me in some ways anyway. I think of my walk-on music as something that motivates me, gets me moving, pushes me a bit. So I would go with like Elton John, Aerosmith, Parker Millsap, maybe some Tom Cochrane or Kenny Loggins, Pharrell Williams, Justin Timberlake, plus like so many more. Oh, Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. Okay, music that makes me feel at home in my body is music that I can put on at any time and just chill, like just be cool. So I think of people like Matt Anderson, Foy Vance, Richard Marx, Over the Rhine, Ray LaMontagne, Alison Krauss, John Hyatt would be another one. There's so many. Amos Lee, Jackson Browne, The Lumineers, Brandi Carlile. Okay, I will stop there. Let me give you some Canadians. Okay, so I'm slacking on my Canadian reps here. Rock Voisine, Tara Lightfoot. I already said Matt Anderson. I said Tom Cochrane. Danny Michelle. Dalla Girls. Blue Rodeo. I can talk about music forever. So I will leave links to all of those artists below in case any of those are new to you. Up next, finding mentors, people of wisdom, or heroes can be another way to help us navigate life. Who are some of your mentors? Can you share something they taught you or inspired you to learn more about? I have been so lucky in my life. I've had some amazing people teach me and influence me. I'm going to say my grade 4 teacher, Mr. Wallace, was an excellent teacher and is probably the first teacher of many, but the first who really made me fall in love with learning. But there's so many people that I could mention here. There's a lot of people. So next, number 9. Who are some out trans non-binary booktubers, Instagrammers, authors, actors, etc. who you'd like to shout out? So I'm cautious in doing this because I never want to out someone. So I've already mentioned a couple of authors, and I know everyone, I think, has been mentioning Kevy from Say Kevy, who is fantastic. Obviously Leo, who created this tag, also fantastic. I'll shout out my buddy AJ, who is great. I love AJ. I feel like I can mention all of those, but I think anyone else I might be outing, so I will stop there. And then the final prompt is, what are some organizations you'd like to shout out? for supporting trans kids and trans folks. So in Canada, different provinces have different resources. So there are some like regional resources, but there are a couple more national organizations that I will mention. There is Trans Lifeline, I think it is, which is a hotline for both the US and Canada, and they offer support for trans people in crisis. But probably the most well-known, at least in Canada, is EGAL, which is an organization that I have worked with through the schools, and they do some really great work. So I will leave links to both of those organizations in the description box below so you can check those out. Thanks again to Leo for creating the Stand With Trans Kids. This is such a very important tag, and please let me know if you have any trans or non-binary authors that you would recommend. Would be happy to check them out, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.